Hello, can we start? Can you hear me? Can you see me? I'm Natalia Dementieva. I teach at the Green Academy, and I am doing this webinar for you today. And today the topic is let me open my file, my presentation. Right. Let me start from the beginning again. Okay. Oh, right. Mm-hmm. Let's begin from the beginning. Our topic today is words to remember, practical strategies to expand vocabulary. I'm going to start with talking about beliefs about learning vocabulary. You must have certain beliefs about learning a foreign language in general or vocabulary in particular. And it's important to sometimes think about them. Actually, my webinar is not the first webinar that the Green Academy has ever done. There is one, there was one webinar given by teacher Vera, and it's also about vocabulary for IELTS. And I strongly recommend you have a look at that video on YouTube or Facebook, because somehow I didn't want to do the same thing, and I'll look at different aspects of expanding vocabulary. So the first belief you might have is that vocabulary is not as important in learning a foreign language as grammar or other areas. Vocabulary should be presented in semantic. A semantic way teachers mean that words are presented in words and phrases are presented in groups. For example, all the days of the week are presented in one, all colors are presented in a different group, or all the adjectives to describe hair, for example, are presented in the third group. So this is the semantic way. The use of translation is a way to learn new vocabulary. So is it to use a dictionary, bilingual dictionary, and translate everything or something into your mouth? Is it bad? So this belief says that, this statement says that it's bad. We learn better when teaching is tailored towards preferred learning style. You might know that different learning styles, like either visual learners, audio learners, kinesthetic learners, or sometimes learners who combine different styles. And if you're a visual learner, if you get information, visual source, that is, you can see words, you can read them, you learn them better. Process of forgetting actually helps me. So is forgetting good or bad? Is it a good thing or is it a bad thing? And these are the beliefs I would like you to keep in mind while listening to the information that I'm going to give. So the aims of today's webinar are, I'm going to talk about what words, phrases, or what vocabulary you should or might want to learn, and the sense of learning vocabulary and expanding it. Vera, in her presentation, gives a brilliant overview of the reasons that IELTS candidate might have. So please do have a look at the presentation. It was in 2020, I think. My next point of focus is where you can get new material, new vocabulary, new phrases, everything. Finally, and that will be a part which makes my presentation different from Vera's. I'm going to focus on a slightly different aspect of learning vocabulary. I'm going to look at some things from psychology and neuroscience. Right, let's go. First of all, when people think about the language, and when I think about the language, I picture it as the living being, as an organism. Consists of many things, and major parts probably are grammar and vocabulary. And I always imagine grammar like this. So it's a skeleton of the language. And vocabulary is like this. The flesh of all the muscles of the body. So if your skeleton is designed in the right way, if all your grammar structures are neat, and if all your bones are connected well, then muscles will be in the right place, right? So, and we want some balance between everything, between grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, everything. So vocabulary is as important as grammar. You can communicate some things, no vocabulary, but only knowing grammar, there is nothing to communicate with. So you need words, right? Now let's have a look at the content and read and vocabulary, expanding. So first of all, we should mention that there are two big groups of words and phrases that we use, and they are your active vocabulary. In other words, your active consists of all the words that you know, and you are sure that you know it's not difficult for you to use them. You are trying to speak when you write. And your passive vocabulary is all the words, phrases, and idioms that you can recognize in listening and speaking. And actually, words constantly move from one to another. They're moving, right? Passive vocabulary into active. And if you stop using them, they just become a part of your passive vocabulary again. Our teacher Alan talked about active and passive vocabulary in his presentation on moving from the intermediate level to advanced. So watch that presentation as well. That's interesting. And so you have to think about your vocabulary, whether you need some words to in speech and in speaking and writing, right? Or whether you need them for reading and listening. And the next point I would want to stress is that all the words that we learn, they are at different levels. And we have a thing called Common European Framework of Reference for Languages. And according to that, all our language competencies are to 6 levels, starting from A1 and C2, from like elementary level to the level of the competent language you almost speak, right? And all the words of the language can be actually classified. And I'm going to tell you how you can check the level of a word or phrase that you on this tool that's called made by Duolingo. It's not an advertisement, it's just a tool to use in case you need. And if we look at this tool, for example, if you type, it's a web page. You go to that web page and type your word or your text there, or copy and paste. And I'm going to show you how it works for words meaning some a verb like, right? Synonyms of like. So for example, there is a word like or enjoy, and this tool shows you that they are from level A1. That's elementary, pre-intermediate. Next one. A synonym of like is adore. That's a word from high level B2. That's upper intermediate, high intermediate or upper intermediate. Next one is be fond of. I'm fond of reading, for example. And if you use that phrase, your examiner will see that you're using a phrase from level B1, that's intermediate. And let's look at the opposite slide. Hate. Hate is an A. Hate, it's a verb. It's from A2. Duolingo shows that. If you want to use more advanced words, that will be detest and loathe. They're both from level C. Another way to check the level of words is the Cambridge Dictionary. So you go to the website. Sometimes it doesn't show, actually, it doesn't show the level, but for some words and phrases, it does. So let's have a look at the word table as an noun. So the very first meaning that you learn is A1. The same word table as a noun can mean an arrangement of facts and numbers in rows or blocks, like this. Okay, let's move on. So we've talked about active and passive vocabulary, about levels of words, and the next thing is can be vocabulary for reading and listening. You can expand your vocabulary to improve your listening skills. That is your receptive skills when you receive information. Also, produce something for writing and vocabulary for writing and speaking. You do know that these are different words and combinations. Another slide. So where can we get new material? Of course, through reading. That's the first thing that comes to anybody's mind, probably. You can start reading popular literature if you're at a more advanced level, actually, I think. Because if you're a beginner, probably great readers are the things that you should look at. Why? What are graded readers? Graded readers are these colorful books. I'm sure that if you have been learning English for a long time, that you have come across these things. Why are they so good? They are so good because, first of all, you get a lot of exposure to the language. They make literature accessible and enjoyable. So there are lots of them, and you get to read texts that are longer than the texts that course books used. Okay. They also show new vocabulary, clear context. So they show words with other words, and they show how different words collocate with each other. At the end of these readers, there are usually glossaries, and the vocabulary used these readers is adapted to your level. You don't have to worry that there are too many unknown words, and you will have to look them up in the dictionary every 3 minutes. So that keeps your anxiety low and you really enjoy it. These readers are available at almost all levels, starter to proficiency. And finally, they show you how the language works. Show not only collocations, but also show how words are combined in phrases, in sentences, then how sentences are connected into paragraphs, and finally have the text. The next source information. You can read relevant posts if you like using the internet, so you will know that there are words there. You can also subscribe to word of the day feeds like this, for example, Merriam Web Dictionary. And you type your email and get emails from Merriam every day. You can change the language of your gadgets to English. It doesn't work actually for a long time, but at the beginning, you learn quite a lot. And please use the dictionary. The thesaurus is like a dictionary, but it gives you synonyms, loads of synonyms to improve your writing, right? It's important because you can get things from more advanced levels like B2 or C1 or even C2. And dictionaries, they can be different. A recent study suggests that you should use all the dictionaries available, even by native language. If it works for you, their use is justified. You can read labels, look at the picture labels for you. I've never seen them actually, like this on my clothes, but always wear me on the first date, you'll do awesome. Or they, I'll give it to your mother, she knows. What kind of new vocabulary can from this label? Maybe you will look at the signs and want to find and you go to an English speaking city. Another one is signs. Heavy pedestrian traffic. So what is that? Heavy pedestrian or heavy traffic? See, there are different meanings of heavy. And adverbs. You can also look at adverbs. The next source, you can learn words through listening. You can listen to songs. And this is the site I recommend, this Lyric Sense. It gives translations of songs. So songs like Yamaha, Yamaso, you will actually see the words of this popular in the past, modern song. You can also listen to virtual events such as virtual conferences like TED. I'm sure you know this abbreviation, technology, education, design. So they give hundreds of talks, plays, or you can listen to audio or podcasts. And source. As watching, what can you watch? Movies and TV. And here is a link to a channel, English with Lucy. And she's a native speaker, and she gives an overview of lots of things you can watch. And she starts with cartoons for different levels. She starts with cartoons, sitcoms, shows, dramas. So please check that video out. That's a very good source of something to watch. And you can also watch people talking, if you're lucky and if you are surrounded by English speakers. So this luxury is not always available. But still, if you live in an English-speaking country, pay attention to what Now we are gradually moving on to the strategies of expanding your vocabulary. First of all, you need to keep a record of what gets into your brain. Write down interesting words. They say that the short pencil is better than a long memory. That's true. When you come across a new word or phrase, don't forget to somehow note down a short sentence or other words that this word or phrase collocates with. For example, here you can see the qualifications for job, have a job, look for a job, take on a job. Or if you see synonyms like convenient and comfortable. So don't forget to write examples. Convenient time, comfortable shoes. You should relate the words that you are learning to personal life in some way, because then they're connected, you are connected to the words emotionally. If you don't have a pencil, use a recorder, use your gadget. Usually our mobile phones have apps to record. That way you can also listen to your voice later, and you can also practice your pronunciation. Sticky notes like this, stick these little pieces of paper everywhere you can, if you want to. Posters. I'm going to show you some posters which was in our British Council in Almaty. I'm not from Almaty. British Council used to be in Almaty, and I'm sure that everyone who has seen this poster at least once in their life, they haven't forgotten it. Actually, it's not about vocabulary, it's more about grammar, but no one makes mistakes in this word. You can draw pictures, and don't say that you can't draw. Everyone can draw pictures like this. Use stick figures to draw. If you like pictures, draw them. You can use flashcards. Flashcards like this, paper-based, or there are some applications like Quizlet and other applications. Let's move on. Then we need to somehow retrieve or practice the vocabulary that we have recorded. So come back to these words regularly. And remember that, here are some tips actually. Remember that key parts you're learning of what you learn are at the beginning and at the end. So organize your study sessions so that the most important things are at the end. And guys, I couldn't help add to my presentation. Okay. So what you do at the end is very important, and at the beginning. These things are based on psychology. And psychology also tells us that we should take breaks every 15, 20 minutes and should switch to something quite different from learning. This way, your learning is interrupted and better, and your focus of you keep your focus of attention when you come after the break. So this is the interference theory in psychology. Learning opposite things help. For example, day and night, happy and sad. And then if you forget one word, the other one help you to retrieve. You can build your mind maps, and I'm sure you've all seen the Sherlock Holmes series. So Sherlock Holmes used to build mind palaces where, so imagine this is the room where he put different things, and then when he wanted to retrieve that information, he would just look at different objects in that room and remember the things. So you can do the same. You can use nail words. Nail is not as nails, but nails as iron things that we use to use for example, to put a pen picture on the wall. For example, as I told at the very beginning, you can use, you should use topic vocabulary, not semantic sets, topics, for example, scarf, boots, hot cocoa, chimneys, snowman, snowflake, etc. In this way, words are learned easier. Finally, make up stories. Stories are great for learning in general and for the vocabulary because they're about your emotions, they're contagious. Everyone wants to retell an interesting story to somebody else. Finally, play word games, crossword puzzles, word searches, Scribble, anything. And you can also use mnemonics. A mnemonic is a tool that helps you to memorize something. For example, this is a classical example of how each children memorize the spelling of the word, because big elephants can always understand small. But the thing with mnemonics is that you should invent these things for yourselves. I mean, they work only when you create them. sometimes it's a bit of a challenge. I can give you an example. I confused two words, 2 days of the week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I was at a quite advanced level already, and I was still confusing them. Then what happened? This is how mnemonics work. I went to live to another country, and I was a student. And in that country, we had 1 day of the week, Thursday. It was a student's day in all pubs. So I created something like mnemonic myself, and I thought, okay, this is Thursday. I am thirsty. So, and I knew that it was четверг in my language. So it helped. And here we're going to talk about something called spaced repetition, how you can organize your learning. Bricks and mortar. Here we're going to talk about a wall. So this wall consists of bricks, it consists of mortar. And they say, psychologists, actually, researchers, neuroscientists, they say that it's a very good metaphor to describe how our memory works. So these are the bricks represent all the that we learn or remember, the words in our case, and mortar is some glue, right, which connects bricks. You can't build the whole wall in 1 day, right? You need some time. This mortar consolidate. You need time for consolidation. And in this way, this metaphor is connected with spaced repetition. Now look at this guy. This is not Chekhov, okay? Chekhov is this guy. So in the picture, you can see Mr. Hermann Ebbinghaus, or I would say Herr Ebbinghaus, right? He was from Germany. So 140 years ago, he started experimenting with memory. And what he discovered was something which psychologists, neuroscientists, and teachers still use. He discovered this forgetting curve. What you can actually see in the forgetting curve is that, for example, you come across a new word, and then in just 1 hour, or a set of new words, and then in just 1 hour, you forget 56% of the information, right? So it's not good, right? But on the other hand, it's good because then neuroscientists discovered that forgetting is good for memorizing, because when you forget something and when you invest some effort and some energy into retrieving it, well, you learn better, you memorize it, but this is how it works. This is what we call spaced repetition. You space out your study. Create some intervals between your sessions. Don't try to learn everything in 1 day. It doesn't work. So if you have some intervals, then you learn better, even if you spend fewer actual hours. So here is one example you can incorporate into your learning. So your first repetition is right after learning. Then your second repetition is after 20 or 30 minutes. And the third repetition, say, is after 1 day. Fourth repetition is after 2 or 3 weeks. Fifth repetition is after 2 or 3 months. How can you organize that? If you use flashcards, you can have different sets, different piles of flashcards. And then you can check every day. If you recognize words, you put them into one file. If you don't recognize them, you move them to another file to repeat on the next. Or if you like gadgets, some applications might help you. So just go to Google Play or to Apple Store and check them out. They are right there. Now you know that it's easy. So just type spaced repetition or spaced applications and you'll find some. Next. What else can we do to retrieve and practice new vocabulary? Well, your fellow English learners, your group might help because it shows you that you are not alone and you can learn new phrases and words from each other, not only from a book. You can teach them if you have children. Well, help them with their homework. Journaling. Oh, so like this captain in the picture. So you can keep a journal, a record of your day in English. Shopping lists. So do them in English. Write in English. Why not? To-do lists. Put a beautiful to-do list here. Write everything in English. And songs. Sing songs. Learn words. You will practice your pronunciation as well. Okay. Now I would like to go back to about learning vocabulary. So vocabulary is not as important in learning a foreign language as grammar or other areas. I think that at the beginning I showed you how the skeleton and our muscles. Yeah. Vocabulary should be presented in semantic way, and that in a way of topics. Semantically, but topics are more. The use of translation. Well, you decide that for yourself. Sometimes translation is sometimes at a higher level it's not so good. We learn better when teaching is tailored towards our style. Lots of people combine different learning style, and there has been, there are many studies. There are lots of research. There are lots of research about this educational method. So they say that combine different things in your learning. And the process of creating actually helps learning. That's about spaced repetition. Right. Finally, put a slide with my references, lots of things. And I strongly recommend you to have a look at the YouTube channel of the Great Academy and check short and long videos here because it's nice vocabulary video. So now, yeah, here are contacts of our school where we will be more than happy to help you with vocabulary. And I think here is the time for questions. Okay. Do we have any? Mhm. Right. I can't see any questions here. Let me... And I wish you all good luck. And thank you for watching this. And I wish you all high bands in IELTS. And see some of you at the lesson. Okay, bye-bye.